Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Software Plaza podcast. I'm Twain Taylor, editor at Software Plaza, and I enjoy bringing you these conversations every week. And we've done quite a few of them. If you go to our website, softwareplaza.com, you'll see the podcast page has uh, over 50 episodes that we've done over the past few years. I think probably we're closer to 100 than 50, actually. And it's been quite a journey just talking to all of these organizations and just hearing what they're building. There's always something new, something exciting to talk about. And today our focus is going to be around AI SRE agents. Now, I know that's a lot of alphabets in there, but we'll break it down soon. I have with me Itiel Shwartz, who is the co-founder and CTO at Komodor. That's Komodor. And their website is komodor.com. So go check them out. And we actually spoke to Itiel about a year ago, actually. And at that time, they had just released their new AI product called Claudia AI. That's Klaudia AI. And ETL spoke to us about how it helps to simplify day two Kubernetes operations, and he gave us a demo. And it was quite exciting to see AI in action back then itself a year ago. But as you know, in the world of AI, 1 year is a long time. And Commodore and ETL and the team have been working hard at improving things and just getting Claudia to do more. And that's what we had to catch up on today. We had to talk about just all that's new with Commodore, all that's new with Claudia AI, and what it's capable of today. That's what ETL is here to talk about. ETL, great to have you with us. Thanks for joining again.
Yeah, happy to be here again.
All right. Yeah, the last time we had an interesting conversation about just Kubernetes complexity, day two challenges, and how you bring that kind of operations and the kind of level of managing things in production that large organizations need, and was quite interesting. And you were quite early itself in just getting on the AI train and just building out an AI tool uh, like last year itself. So it was, you already were quite ahead in that sense. So talk to us a bit about just your journey since then, on just how you see AI, how you guys got started with building Claudia, what it was back then, and how it's been evolving, your views on AI, agentic AI, and all this good stuff.
Yeah, sure. So just to do like a recap, Commodore started its AI journey almost 2 years ago, maybe even a bit more, when we as a platform that helps to simplify, like what Commodore is doing in a super high level is help
Mhm.
you to optimize your system, and we help you to detect, investigate, and remediate issues on top of Kubernetes. Like that's what we did back then. We did it prior to AI, and we keep on doing that after like the addition of Claudia, which is Commodore Gen AI. So
Mm.
2 years ago, or a bit more, we only started to experiment. We ask ourselves, would LLM actually be valuable for Commodore and our customers? So on one hand, obviously, I think nowadays everyone is using LLM, right? Like if it's Cursor or like a coding agent and so on, like it's very popular. On the other
Yeah.
side, I think one of the main issues of LLM, which worried us, is hallucinations and the fact that LLM always try to provide some kind of answer, even if it is not that sure of that.
Mm.
So the reason Commodore didn't like jump straight into like the LLM bubble, or like the LLM use cases, is because we are very cautious. Like we wanted to make sure that we build a product that we trust, that has very high accuracy, and our users can really use and trust and believe in. So we started it as a very small part of Komodor, like as every new capability or feature, you know, you start, you develop it a bit, you see the reactions, and then you reiterate. That's how we work in here in the company. And the feedback that we got, even for like the first version of Claudia, were great. It was like, it's amazing. I want more of that. Can you improve it? Can you do cross-cluster issues? Can you do that? Can you do that? And so on, so on, so on. So we got really good feedback, and that led us to double down on Claudia. So as months progress, we saw how Claudia is becoming more dominant inside of our platform and how we're able to deliver more value for our customers. So that led us to like double down the amount of investment that we're doing internally on top of Claudia, and also it allow us to increase the capabilities that we deliver for our customers. So that's like a bit on like the journey. A year ago, we were pretty much in the middle. Claudia was already baked in into the platform. It was already GA, and we saw a lot of value and a lot of really amazing feedback from our customers. That being said, Claudia back then was very focused around investigation. Given a problem, what's the best like way to investigate it automatically, to do all of the things a very good senior SRE would do, given that specific problem, given that specific issue. What changed since then in Komodor is that we moved like both to the left side and the right side of the investigation process. Usually investigation is detection, investigation, remediation. If the first version of Claudia were very focused around the investigation part, the later, the next versions are much more focused around detection, but more importantly, around remediation. So,
Okay.
yeah, I'll stop for like a question maybe, or
No,
how.
no, really, yeah, really interesting stuff there, especially how you explained that the first part was about investigation. Now you've gone left and right to detection and remediation. Definitely want to get into that. Yeah, I wanted to get a little bit more context around this. What made you want to go left and right? What are some of the challenges you are seeing out there in detection and in remediation that made you feel like this is something we need to build, we need to go after because it's a big need? And so tell us about that. What did you see? What made you
Yeah,
start?
yeah. So first of all, it comes from our customers. Like that's the easiest. It's the easiest to build new features when you hear so
Right.
much customer telling you, "Hey," like the main thing that we heard more around like the remediation part is like Komodor is great, Claudia is great. You tell me to investigate. You give me the relevant recommendation. Can't you guys just click on the button? Like, why do I need to go into Komodor to do all of that and then to click on a button? Can you just simplify my life and like everyone's life by clicking that button automatically, and then I wouldn't need to be involved? So
Mm-hmm.
when we're talking about remediation, at least now, we're not talking about like solving the most complicated issues that ever existed, right? Like we won't auto remediate like the AWS outage or things like that that are like super complex DNS problems. But we know for a fact that something like 30% of the people who uses the platform are using it to do pretty much the same actions when it comes to remediation, which is rollback, scaling up of resources, maybe restart of pods, and that's pretty much it. Those actions are pretty boring, right? Like they're the same thing over and over again. They are not that sexy, and they are easily, or we believe they can be automated, meaning the user won't need to do anything and we will solve it for him. So we saw there's a very large chunk of problems that we can leverage LLM in order to solve. And that led us to like start investing again, like quite a lot of time in making sure that we're able to do it. Like it sounds easy, right? From like the macro level, yeah, sure, why can't you click on the button for me? But reality is that scenario A and scenario B might look very similar to a human or to an LLM, but for a human, they will look like completely different. And like in one scenario, it makes sense to do a rollback. In the second scenario, if you roll back, you will destroy the universe or something like that. So we
Mm-hmm.
need to invest quite a lot in making sure that your accuracy is really good and that your actions will be as harmless as possible. Like no one wants
Mm-hmm.
an AI SRE that creates more issues for you.
Right.
Um,
Right.
yeah.
Mm. So AI SRE, yeah, that's a key phrase that you mentioned there, and that's what you're solving for.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so what were what approach did you take while building out these capabilities, and how did you use AI to do this stuff, the actual detection and the remediation? How is it different from, let's say, previous approaches? Because, this phrase AI ops is actually around for like a decade or so. You
Uh-huh.
know,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember many
I'll
of
say no
the
more. Yeah.
yeah, many of the big, enterprise companies into the observability space, like I think it was Broadcom and some others, they've been using this phrase for like, I don't know, 8 years or so. But I think it's taken on a whole new meaning now when you say AI ops or AI SRE. So
Mhm.
how have you actually implemented this in a new way compared to what used to be done, let's say, in the days of early machine learning, rules-based kind of intelligence?
Yeah, I think AIOps has been around as a term for a lot of time. I think it's like one of the most like problematic things for Commodore
Mhm.
because it had a very bad reputation. Like I think that sorry, I think AIOps like over promised and under delivered for many years. And that is mainly, I think, because it focused a lot of its efforts around the anomaly detection part. How can I predict issues? How can I predict anomalies? And a lot of the tools in that space fail to deliver meaningful value to its customers. Commodore approach is very different.
Sorry to interrupt, but why do you think they failed? What was the issue?
I think it's like a very hard task. Like that's the
Okay.
reality. I think like
Mhm.
from technology barrier, like there wasn't like good enough technology. Even now, even in Commodore, anomaly detection is something that we do in very like small areas, but overall, it's not something that is a core to our platform. We always try, and the results are not good enough. It's not good enough for me to release to my customers. So I think the world is very noisy, and things that looks like anomaly are most of the time not anomaly or like the other way around. And
Mhm.
like the technology wasn't there. I can tell you that when we founded the company, we also tried to leverage AI to do what we do now with Claudia, and like without LLMs, and even without like the most sophisticated LLMs, what I'm currently doing with Claudia is not possible. Like I couldn't build this
Okay.
product years ago. More than that,
Okay.
if I used like the non-advanced, like the stupid, how do you say it? The models that are not
Basic.
state of the art, it won't work. Like sometimes we
Right.
try to use like a weaker models, right? Like just
Yeah.
to benchmark
Yeah.
us. If I give a weaker model the same task of investigate me that specific problem, it will crash. It will like just burn and crash. It goes into
Mhm.
like a loop that never ends or things like that. So the technology jumps that happen over the last couple of years are very like significant. And also,
Okay.
Komodor is very focused. We're focused on Kubernetes and cloud native. I don't solve
Okay.
all of the problem.
Mm.
I solve very small domain specific problems. I have
Right.
years, like around 10 years of domain expertise in those problems.
Mhm.
And what I
Mhm.
do, what I'm trying to do is not to like in a way reinvent the wheel. I'm trying to take what a really good SRE would do given that problem and simply like, solve it or mimic him to give like the best answers.
Wow. So it would become really important to make sure you're being efficient with the models you use and how you use them,
Uh-huh,
because it seems like it's very resource intensive and takes time to
uh-huh.
actually run these processes and these tasks. What are some learnings you had around that while you were building these features about how to use these AI and these LLM
They're
models
very
efficiently?
cautious. Like I think the main word here is cautious. I think
Okay.
LLM have a lot of limitation when it comes to its context window. I'm not talking only about like the technical aspect of 200K tokens or something like that. Like that also exists. But for very complex tasks like Kubernetes, like even if you try to give it like things that fit in the context, like in the window context, but they are too complicated, again, like it won't work. So it's how do I take a very tough challenge, a very like hard task, and how do I break it down to enough agents and enough models, so each model by itself will be good enough and it won't like be overloaded. That's the continuous challenge that we have in Commodore. On one hand, I want to make my models smarter, right? Like I want to give them more data, more tooling, more MCP, and so on. On the other, every time I increase the amount of data that they have, like things simply like doesn't work or it starts to hallucinate. So how do I find that this balance is a very like time-consuming and challenging task. Like it's like we are at the edge, I feel, of utilizing LLM in Komodor. I think what we're doing is like groundbreaking, and you know, every time that you are exploring a new technology that like there's no best standards or like guidelines, then you fail a lot of the time. But every success that you have is very impactful.
Mhm, mhm. All right. I'd like to segue a little to talking about autonomous AI agents. That's something that you guys have been working on and building. Could you shed a little light on this and explain what are these autonomous AI agents? What do they do? How do they work? How do people,
Yeah.
how do ops teams work with them?
Yeah, sure. So in Commodore, we have like flow agents, as we call them internally, which are agents that are designed to do a specific thing. One agent might do detection, another will do investigation, another do the remediation, optimization. Chat is another agent. And all of those agents know how to interact with one another. So the chat agent can start an investigation or can trigger a remediation and so on. So we
Mhm,
have those like kind of like family of agents, but then we have agents that are like domain expert, domain expert matter experts,
mhm,
that basically know only one thing extremely well. For example, we have an agent that is a GPU genius. He knows only GPUs, only on top of
mhm,
Kubernetes, only NVIDIA GPUs. And his job is to make sure that again, like he's doing like the detection agent is like calling him to do the detection, investigation, remediation. So we
right.
took what, again, like what a really good SRE would do, we broke it to different agents. Every agent can work by itself, like it can operate A to Z, and it can also call other agents. But the goal in the end of the day is to give the end user something very, very crisp. So if it's a very good investigation, or if it's to remediate the issue for him, or to save him a lot of money when it comes to Kubernetes. So we have
Mm,
a lot of those agents working in the background. You can think about it as, you know, you have a lot of like small team members that are very good in one team that work together to make your life easier as an SRE or DevOps.
interesting. And what about the output? Do you find that there's still a need for human review and, follow-ups and, there's still a need for the human element in this process? Or do you feel it's really quickly reaching where, it's very automated and the agents themselves can decide and they're very accurate and they can actually make decisions and implement those decisions even without humans in the loop?
I think it depends. I think that like for like something like 30% of the cases, Commodore will be able to solve it independently and only give a human like a FYI, I solved this problem. It like go fix maybe like the actual root cause or something like that. So I
Hmm.
think in
Hmm.
some cases, like there won't be need for human intervention. For a large chunk of the issues, it's very complicated. So I think like we are not at the stage that LLM will replace all of the SREs. I
Right.
think we're quite far from that. But for
Yeah.
some easy cases that are very repetitive, that do happen a lot, I do believe that we can move from like a human in the loop approach to human as someone that only get an FYI and nothing more.
Right. Really interesting times. I was wondering if you could share your screen and demo some of these capabilities for us and what they actually look like, because we've really, I think, hopefully gotten everyone interested in just
Ah, sure.
this idea. And now to kind of see it in action would really be awesome.
Yeah, sure. So I'll do like a very quick demo. I won't like demonstrate all
Sure
of
thing.
all of the platform, but this is like Commodore. You're able to see all of the different clusters that you have for each one to
Yeah.
understand the status. I'm going to zoom very fast on a specific Kubernetes cluster and then to see issues that happen in that particular cluster. And then I'm going to zoom into a specific deployment that is not working correctly. And then I
Okay.
can go to a specific pod and simply click on the button. And once I click on the button, I'm going to start getting the investigation process in order. We talked a lot about like the fact that there's a lot of context, right? And it's very hard to do the analysis. So what you're going to see now is Claudia starting to do this the investigation process for me. and it starts to mimic what maybe you do, or like what a really good SRE do, given that
Right.
specific issue, given those specific problems. So it's now going to ask for more data points in order to understand exactly like what happened, why did it happen, and so on. And then in turn, it will allow us to understand, hopefully, what I should do now in order to remediate and to solve this problem. So let's say like what happened here. Sorry, the investigation just ended. Application container fails due to invalid API rate limit configuration causing health check failures. It explains to me like what happened, the pod, a container log shows me that, a config map shows the high value, recent commit, it also points out the relevant commit, and it tells me exactly what I should do in order to remediate that specific issue or that specific problem. I can even now like ask follow-up question, who have done this change and why? Let's hope that it will work, because like demoing is always tricky, and I am running on like a newer version of Komodor chat. But yeah, it seems like everything works based on the change history. Guy Menachem have done the change, and it gives me all of the context that I need. So again, instead of
Nice.
spending hours being an expert, going to all of those different places in order to gather the data, I was able very, very like, easily to understand like what happened, why did it happen, and what I should do now in order to remediate and to solve the problem.
Wow. And so you're not connecting with like an external like API, an AI API for like this chat interface. This is your own
Yeah,
LLM, right? So
everything
no
is.
AP,
We
no
are using
extra
Claude.
API
Like
costs and all of that.
yeah, but it's not like my model. It's like a Claude 4 is running here on the background.
Oh, okay, okay. So are there extra charges like for API usage and stuff?
No, currently, like we give it as part of the normal like Komodor offering.
Nice.
But
Okay.
it is a question now that this part becomes more dominant, like what's the best way to charge on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
But
All right, all
currently,
right.
every Komodor user is getting this.
Nice. Could you show us an example of an auto remediation that happened?
I don't know if in the demo I have a one that happened. I can show
Okay,
you
okay.
that this example. What I can share is a lot of the time it looks something like that, like a
All
suggested
right.
remediation that is like one click. I can run it
Ah,
and
nice.
solve the problem from within Commodore. I can
Mm,
also, let's see, everything is now green and everyone is happy. And I can also go here and maybe like show you, this is like another example. What you see here is cascading failure, basically multiple pods failing at the same time
mm,
because of a shared root cause. And in the example here, I can like solve the problem, or I can manage self-healing policies. And if I want to manage a self-healing policy, I can like simply add a new policy. I think maybe I have
mm.
some audit of like what happened as well, which is like solving issues automatically without the need of any human intervention.
Wow, really neat.
Questions?
Yeah, yeah, that's really cool. So yeah, I'd say that, I think the big thing that you mentioned was, that you can do these things in one place without having to switch contexts and go looking for different information in different places. I think that's a big time saver. And yeah, I think it would really help with productivity for SREs, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah, that's our hope.
yeah, yeah. And how do you see SREs once they like get used to this and they're saving time? How do you see that changing the way they work and the way they think about SRE?
Yeah,
What
uh,
what
it,
impact does it have on culture and their mindset?
yeah, it's a great question. I think like the world will change. Like I think SRE will do less repetitive things. They will do less like again like this manual work, and then like they'll have more free time to do more innovative things. But it's a good thing to understand how will the work actually change, because I think Kubernetes, for example, simplified a lot of the ops stuff on one
Hmm.
side, but on the other side it made a lot of other stuff much more complicated. So
Right.
good question.
Yeah, yeah. And what are some of the other benefits that you see from your customers who use Commodore and Claudia AI? What kind of results do they report? Probably in reliability improvements or in
Uh,
reduction of
Yeah,
issues.
like
What
the
kind of,
results are amazing. I think the biggest feedback that we're getting is we allow people who are non-expert to solve issues without the need of SRE. Like that's the number one. Reduce MTTR, reduce cost, like all of those stuff. But the organization is better utilizing Kubernetes to a certain extent, which is great.
All right, all right. Wow, that's amazing. So we've reached the rapid fire section of our conversation where I'll just shoot around 5 questions to you and you just tell me what comes to your mind.
Sure, go for it.
All right, so here goes. Okay, first one may be loaded, but let's see. AI agent or a human SRE? Who fixes an issue faster today?
Simple issue, a SRE, complex issues, a human, I will say.
Okay. All right. What's the most underrated metric in SRE and observability and all of that?
Number of false alarm maybe, or like the ratio between like alerts that were missed to false alarm. I think like that's the most
Interesting, interesting. All right. Now, yeah, if Claudia AI were a person, what kind of teammate would he or she be?
very robotic. Like that's at least how I know about it. Like very like straight, just giving you like a very non-colorful like reporting of what's happening in the system.
Okay, okay, yeah. I guess if you want color, go to your chat GPT or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, I think so.
All right. So a bit about you yourself and your way of, using tech and doing things. Uh, a GUI or a CLI, what do you instinctively reach for?
I'm more of a CLI guy myself, but obviously, like I use Komodor quite a lot, and I think the right GUI can like give you things that are much more intuitive. Also, by the way, like APMs is something that you simply can't do with CLI. So for small contexts, CLI is much better. If you need like a high level understanding, then maybe.
All right. CLI first. All right, last one for you. What's your favorite productivity hack when you need to do deep focused work?
I go to work from like coffee houses, like it's like white
Okay.
noise and it blocks
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
else for me. So that's like my life hack. Not sure if it's
Neat.
for everyone.
Yeah, 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 that's true. Can be distracting for some, but nice that it works for you. All right. Yeah, that's the last of our rapid fire questions. We're drawing to the end of this conversation. Uh, a couple of last questions. One thing I'd like to ask you is, as you look ahead to the next 6 months to 1 year, what do you think is the next big trend on the horizon? What are you reading up on, and what excites you?
Yeah, I think one side is like for Komodor, mainly around like auto remediation, our ability to solve more and more use cases with more accuracy. In the
Hmm.
industry, I think the GPU is like a very big trend right now. Everyone is trying to
Okay.
understand how do I run my GPU on top of Kubernetes. I see a lot of the
Hmm.
organization are already in like medium to like low to medium like usage, but I think it's going to change. Like I think everyone will use GPU on top of Kubernetes.
All right, all right. Last question for you, Itiel, is from our conversation, what's one thing you'd like to have as a important takeaway for listeners and viewers that they go back with?
First of all, to try Komodor and Claudia if they didn't already. And secondly, I
Mhm.
think that when they are building LLMs, even themselves for like their job and so on, I think the metric of accuracy, how do I validate myself, is one of the most overlooked um, like things when in modern like LLM development. So just pay a lot of attention to that.
Right, right. Neat. Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us, ETL. It was a pleasure chatting with you and great to see all of the progress you've made over the past year that we've chatted. And definitely come back again next year and tell us again about the
Sure.
next evolution of Claudia AI and the kind of things you guys are doing. Because like you said, you guys are really doing cutting edge stuff and you even demoed some of that for us. Really exciting. We love having you over. Do come back.
Pleasure being here. Thank you.
All right. And thanks to all of our listeners and viewers for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this conversation and you got something to take away and something that you could probably even consider implementing in your tech stack. Go and check out what Commodore is up to. Try out Claudia AI. I think it really brings the world of AI and SRE together really well. And ETL spoke to us about auto remediation and even better detection reducing false positives. So a lot of stuff in there that if you're an SRE or if you're a platform engineer, that it's really invaluable for you. So go check out Komodor and what they're up to. And join us again for the next conversation. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.